honor to Pastor Soriano for taking the chance of hosting somebody that he had never met, but on the recommendation of a partner. So thank you for letting me come and meet with your network. Thank you to all of you for being here. I traveled a long way to get here, but I know you guys traveled a long way to get here too. And of course, I'm just sitting in an airplane most of the time, but driving or riding a bus or a train, and this can be pretty hazardous. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for coming here to meet about this and talk about this, to see what opportunities lie ahead for us. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. First, I served in the U.S. Marine Corps, which is why I have this haircut. I feel like I was born with this haircut, and I've always had it. I was destined to be in the military. So I served in the Marine Corps. And of course, that also heightened my interest in history, in the history of wars that were fought. Another connection that I have to the Philippines. I happen to have a big amount of high interest in World War II. Obviously, a lot of that took place right here. And my grandfather, who was in the Army, was captured at Bataan. And he survived the Bataan Death March. He was a prisoner of war at Cabanatuan, and went on to a workforce in Japan. So when I was coming over here, I made sure to tell Reverend Soriano, I said, I've got to get to Cabanatuan to see where my grandfather spent 3 years of his life. It was this is a quick God story about him. He's a very big motivation to our family. He's 6'4". He's a very tall man. When he came back to the U.S. after being a prisoner of war, he weighed about 85 pounds. The doctors told him, you will most likely not live past 40. You're going to lose all of your hair. You're going to lose all of your teeth from malnutrition. You'll probably never have kids, and don't bother getting an education because you're not going to be able to handle it. Well, today he's 89 years old. He has all of his hair, all of his teeth. He had 5 children, and he's got a doctorate degree. So it's very clear that God had a very big plan for him, and it's one of those inspiring stories that regardless of what the opposition may look like, if God has a plan, there's nothing that cannot be overcome. Amen. My second connection to the Philippines is I have had a Filipina grandmother. She married my grandfather back in the 60s. So when I was born, all I knew growing up with is that I had a grandmother that looked a little different than me, but it didn't matter. She was just an absolutely fantastic lady, and it really was my introduction from a young kid into different cultures, specifically into the Filipino culture. Just a dear, sweet lady. She's with the Lord now, but that was a connection. My third connection to the Philippines is just a few years ago. I began working with a contact back in the U.S. who put me in touch with a nun in Naga City. Her name is Mother Joan Clare. She has the Compassionate Franciscan Sisters of the Poor in Naga City. And a few years ago, we actually started doing work in the Philippines through her. And she, very like-minded with everybody here, orphanage and schools and feeding programs and ministries into the slum area. The reason why I'm here today, or this week, is to establish a new and ongoing relationship with Bethesda Ministries. There's a lot of good to be done in this world, I